Hello, everybody. Confession time. Our generation dropped the ball. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the C Show, and I'm your host, Mr. C. What are we talking about? Our generation dropping the balls. A lot of criticism against the boomer generation, the OGs, about how we're part of the problem, and that is a criticism that has had some degree of validity, because we did drop the ball. And what was the ball? The ball was the blackness that not only sustained us as a people for over 300 years against horrific circumstances that we all know, slavery and Jim Crow. Not only did we survive those years, but we thrived as a people and enriched the world several times over through our culture and our beauty. Black people. And it was something that kept us alive. It was a blackness that our ancestors had. We didn't pass it on for whatever reason. That's the boomer generation. There's a big reason for it, but I think first and all, we have to take responsibility for having dropped the ball. Ms. V is with us today. By the way, if you have any comment about that, put in the comment section. You got anything to say about us and this? You think we dropped the ball, V?
I do believe we dropped the ball, yes. Definitely, I think as a black culture, a black group, we have dropped the ball to our upcoming generations.
Yeah, I think we dropped the ball because we don't have leadership. And our leaders, so-called leaders, if we want to hire them to do a public speaking or something, they're going to charge thousands of dollars. So we can't even afford it. I guess the only thing we can afford to do a lot of times is drop the ball because there's no leadership.
No leadership, yeah. I think they did a lot of damage during the 60s when they began the destruction, the assassination of political leadership, when the government, by way of the FBI, the CIA, the president's office, on and it goes, infiltrating black self-help groups anywhere from the local neighborhood all the way up to the Black Panthers, infiltrating them and targeting them for destruction, which leads me to my point. Yes, our generation failed, that boomer generation of black people. We did not bring forth the vibration, that blackness that has been sustaining and enriching us in the world for centuries. Somewhere we dropped it, but we were also targeted. We were targeted by the federal government. We were targeted for destruction. We were targeted for separation, separate the man from the woman, separated from marriage, separated from family. There's some very good statistics on how prosperous black people were up until the time of the 60s. And the Great Society and on from there. But ours was a hedonistic generation. In the 70s, we like to have fun. Wasn't nobody thinking about responsibility. We were told in the 70s, go ahead, have a good time. Was you having a good time, B? Hitman, was you having a good time?
Oh, yeah, you remember that saying in the 70s, if it feels good, do it.
How's you feeling, V?
And what they said, do it to it.
That's right. Do it fluid.
Yeah, well, it was fun. I remember when I was in the Air Force, I had a van, and I drew a kitten on the back of the van, and I said, a little pussy won't hurt anyone.
That's good.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Well, that's how it was in the 70s. Everybody was getting down with everybody in the 70s.
And I think in the 70s, we were trying to become identified. Yeah. And I think a lot of our values at that time changed. And we went from, being just the black people or Negroes, we definitely went towards, I don't know. I think that's when we lost our identity. So if we didn't have it, and had very little of it, how could we build on that? And we weren't able. Now look at, my generation. I can say I haven't passed on to my children that blackness. And so I think we lost it because then we were kind of changing. Like I said, we were having a good time, and
we was having a good time.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah,
And
in the 70s, even in the military, they had equal opportunity.
Yes, and then
fairness,
and then we blacks we lost that. We lost that identity. So how can we pass it on if it's not there?
Yeah. I do believe that there was this targeting going on of us. It wasn't just us. And you can see a lot of this taking place in the 1960s. In the 1960s, we were divided up. The white kids got the Beatles and the rock music and the drugs. The black kids got soul music and Motown and sex. And it kind of went that way progressively into the 70s. And for us, it was the kind of sex without responsibility. Because they said, we're going to marry the black woman to the government. We're going to empower her one way or the other, either on welfare or through advancement in education. And the black man can be irrelevant. We use him as cannon fodder.
I think it was even further than that.
Yeah.
In the 70s, that's when we were coming out of segregation into integration. And so now I believe we blacks were trying to see how the other side lives. And that's when the black, wanted to be more into the whites. And I'm not so sure that the whites want to be into the blacks. So we lost our identity because I think we have been striving so hard. And so we were trying to, find out what the other side's like.
Women's live. Go to college, have a good time.
Go to college.
And just have fun. And black women usually went to school to show that they don't need a man. A lot of white women went to school to get married.
I can reference, way back in the 70s, growing up, I grew up in a rural area, and so therefore, when I was growing up, it was the black and the white, and then they came, like I said, they dropped segregation and came to integration, and I think at that time we may have lost something because then they were stressing to the black woman, hey, get your education. So you won't have to depend on a man. Get your own, have your own, regardless if he has his, but you have your own and you can do your own thing.
So they didn't emphasize the idea of family that much. They were saying just be a separate, independent.
It was more you and they were talking to the female. Get your education.
Get a good job.
That's right. That's right.
Now, have a good time.
But the federal government had black people clearly in the crosshair for exploitation and destruction. So while we dropped the ball, we had a great deal of help in dropping it.
I also think that if we were definitely ingrained in being black, and we were strong in our belief and our attitudes, I don't think it would have been so easy for the government to come in and convince us otherwise.
Well, Hollywood helps out because you can't be black. You can't be black American. No. You got to, if you're American and you're historically American, you got to be a slave. Anything black has to be Africa. And Africa is not us. Africa is Africa.
That's right.
This is America. We're a unique species. We're a unique group. And we need to be recognized as such. The way that you fix a problem is you first have to acknowledge a problem. Right. We here at the Seashore are acknowledging the failure of our generation to carry forth that vibration of life, which has defined us as a unique people, black people here in America, American blacks. We did not do that. We understand that we were targeted not to do that. We understand that we were attacked, and that whole idea came under fire by forces from within and from without. We do understand that. So what do we do about it now? Now that we understand that there is a problem, what do we do about it now? Is there a problem with our young people out there? Have you noticed any sort of difficult with them, with the young people hitting, man?
Yeah, I mean, just the way they grew up. The society is different. Just like you and I grew up in the 70s, we had a different belief in doing things. I grew up without a father, so I had a problem. Slow in some areas.
Yeah. V?
Yeah, and I think that it could have always existed, but I think it just become more visible and it's been stressed more. And now we're just crossing the lines, doesn't matter. So our blackness is not completely there.
But look at where we are today.
Yes.
As a people, we had always been an industrious people, even during the height of exploitation. We did the work, we did the labor, we
Yes,
cleaned
we
the
did.
houses,
And-
we
and
worked
still,
the fields.
yes.
And we also produced an art form, we produced the music. And now it's very different. They have us in an industrial situation, just like it was in the 1930s in Europe. They have us in an industrial situation, and our usefulness as black people is to do two things. For the black males to be involved in the criminal justice system, and for the black female to have abortions and have body parts sold. That's the industry that they're dealing with for the two of us. We're both being played, the generation that came before and the generation that's now. What can we do for the generation now? Realizing the way that they're being treated, what is it that we can do for them? Surely there must be something. It begins by us realizing that there is a problem. Once we realize there is a problem, then we're 50% there to fixing it. And I think that what we can do is each one of us individually putting forth some time to some young person that you know to just tell them the truth. To just share with them the benefit of your years. Take a moment. They may or may not be interested, but you make the effort to just share.